Hey guys, so tonight I'm doing something a little bit different and bringing to you my first horror movie review. I reached out to my good friend Drumdums, who's been doing horror movie reviews for the past 6 years, and he's been killing it with it. So I couldn't think of a better person to help me with my first review, and I asked him to do a collab with me, and he said yes. His suggestion for the movie is the 2013 James Wan, The Conjuring. So I was pretty excited about that since the Conjuring universe is one of my favorite series. So tonight we're going to bring to you The Conjuring. So the 2013 movie The Conjuring is directed by James Wan, starring Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga as Ed and Lorraine Warren, who are paranormal investigators. Then we have Ron Livingston and Lily Taylor, who play the parts of Roger and Carolyn Perron. Alright, so The Conjuring is based in 1971 Rhode Island, where you have Carolyn and Roger Perron that move to a secluded farmhouse with their 5 daughters, which that alone should be scary enough with all the estrogen in the house. That being said, it started off happy and normal until they found a boarded up hidden cellar in the hall closet. After this, things start to go south for the family when the not-so-happy dark presence that resides in the house gets pissed off and wants them to leave or wants to take their souls. So this brings your basic, stereotypical exorcism movie scenes. You know, pictures falling off the walls, knocking around and thumping, and footsteps in the wee hours of the morning, leg grabbing and pulling, you know, your basic exorcism stuff. So for me, nothing really stood out there from all the other exorcism movies that are out there. I will say the acting by the young girls in this movie was spot on. There's one scene that stood out to me as when one of the daughters was jolted awake by something grabbing her leg and almost pulling her off the bed in the middle of the night. She started to investigate, and like any kid would do, would look under the bed to see what was there. And as she was doing this, I tell you, I did not breathe that entire time because I was waiting for some demonic thing to pop out and scare the shit out of me. Well, upon her investigation, she didn't see anything under the bed. But when she sat up on the bed, she looked over in the corner and saw something standing there. This is when she starts to cry out to her sister, and you could feel the fear this little girl was feeling. It was 100% believable. Another thing in this film that I thought they'd done really well was the jump scares. I don't know how many horror movies we have out today that overdo with jump scares. Like every 10 minutes there's something jumping out at you, and after a while it becomes dull because you already know what's going to happen. James Wan did excellent with spacing out the jump scares and doing it at the right moments in this film, so kudos to him for that. And now we get into the investigation side of things. Ed and Lorraine show up to the house with their team to investigate the hauntings going on in the house. To me, I felt like they could have done a little bit more time on the investigation in the house. I felt like it was rushed. You have this great story with a nice flow leading up to this part of the movie, and then all of a sudden, bam, it sped up tremendously. So for me, I felt like I wanted more of the investigation side of things and maybe some more footage of the family being harassed by this entity. So in the investigation, you do get a little bit of a backstory of this dark entity that's haunting the house. It was actually a witch that lived in the house in the 1800s that sacrificed her baby, Mom of the Year, put a curse on the land and anybody that tried to steal her land, then went and hung herself in the front yard by a tree. Talk about being fucking dramatic. So Carolyn becomes possessed by the witch, which the scene I thought was pretty gnarly and gross. So you have Carolyn laying on the bed and it looks like she's paralyzed in fear with her mouth open, and then you see the witch hovering over Carolyn, and then she vomits this vial into Carolyn's mouth, possessing her. For me, that was a definitely what the fuck moment. So another scene that I enjoyed is after Carolyn becomes possessed, and she's trying to sacrifice one of her daughters with a pair of scissors. This is the first glimpse you get of Carolyn in all her crazy bitch possessed glory. So I really enjoyed that, and the special effects makeup, they nailed it. So now that Carolyn's possessed and they see her trying to sacrifice a child, this is when Ed decides that he's going to have to take matters into his own hands and do the exorcism himself. He has no time to wait for the exorcist to come in. So this leads us into the exorcism scene. The exorcism scene here is a little bit different than other scenes I've seen in other movies. They actually take a sheet and cover Carolyn up in it and then strap her down to a chair. I've never seen that done in another movie before. Which, with them covering her up with a sheet, it added to the scare factor a little bit when Carolyn starts to vomit blood all over the white sheet, and then the sheet starts to rip, exposing a little bit of her face. So in the exorcism, Ed yells out, "Show yourself." You get a glimpse of the witch's face poking through this rip in the sheet. Thought that was pretty badass. So it ends with a successful exorcism. Even though the movie was slightly predictable, like all the other exorcism movies out there, I mean, you've seen one exorcism movie, you've seen them all. I still rate this in my top 5 exorcism movies. So with that being said, I give this a 4 out of 5 upside down crucifixes and the ginger slap of approval. Alright guys, so you know the drill now. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, go ahead and hit subscribe. Make sure you hit that notifications bell so you're notified when new stuff drops. Also, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at JyngerSlapz with the Z. And make sure if you have something to say, drop it in the comments. Hit that like button if you enjoyed what you saw tonight. Alright, so now what I want you guys to do, head on over to Drumdums channel and check out his review of the 2013 The Conjuring. Alright guys, have a good night. Oh, here, fuck. So this brings your basic, typical, fuck. So this leads us to the exorcism scene, which the exorcism, oh my god. God damn you.